Thank you for turning to page 121. Today's video is going to be a little different. I want to show some old figures, just a trip down memory lane from some of these old lead figures. And I also want to say a shout out and a thank you to a donor who wishes to remain anonymous. You know who you are, who sent me this turntable. In my Gen Con Hall video, I had talked about getting a turntable. I was looking at one and I was told by my anonymous viewer that he would be sending me one, and it was actually the one I was looking at, so this is pretty good. This turntable also appeared in my son Patrick's channel, Blue Fire Toys and Collectibles. So if you want to go on over there and look at some of his stuff, it's a good opportunity. But this is just going to be a look at old figures, Grenadier, Ral Partha, some just kind of generic. The problem with the old lead figures was if you had to scrape off some of the excess on the bottoms, you scraped off the name and the date, which I found kind of irritating, but it was the only way to get some of these to stand. In addition, this guy would only stand if I glued him on a base. So this guy is Buckethead. Old Buckethead is our generic stand-in cleric. If ever we need a cleric, somebody just grabs Buckethead out of the bin and he's on the table. It's just always been a favorite. He's been Buckethead since the very early 80s, and very nicely painted by my buddy Mike. A lot of these figures were painted by Mike. Where I remember, I will say who painted the other ones. If I don't say, then it was Mike. But here you go. There's Buckethead, one of my favorite cleric figures of all time. And then, if you need a sneaky ranger, there's your guy. I like this figure a lot. This one was also painted by Mike. Just a really nice figure, crouching, waiting to launch an attack on someone or whatever the heck it is he's doing. And then the next one, and by the way, I did no research on these as to who made them or anything. I just pulled them out of the bins and decided to take a look at them today. So feel free to put comments as to who is who. I'm just putting them out here today as just a little trip down memory lane. This is a nice thief. I always liked this figure as a thief. He, like Buckethead, we just need a generic thief. This guy makes the table. Okay. Next up, a dwarf. Just a dwarf. Also painted by my buddy Mike. I love this figure. This is kind of the signature dwarf to me. This one figure kind of gets it done. So there you have a dwarf. Now we're going to come into some characters that my wife plays at the table. And she painted these minis. This first one is Morticia. This is one of her magic users, and is a 15 millimeter figure. It's very, very tiny compared to any of the others. So there's the Buckethead next to her just for the heck of it. So as you can see, she's quite tiny. I still like this figure a lot. It's still on our table often. Next up is another of my wife. Oh, the Morticia was painted by my wife. Ophelia was painted by my wife. This is Ophelia, my wife's ridiculously powerful magic user. This character has been around since 1982. Has been played consistently in my campaign since then. My wife did all the little intricate details on her robe and her little girdle and everything. My wife did really nice work when she painted. Okay, next up. This is a Paladin. This is just kind of a generic Paladin. Mike painted this guy. Just some fun figures. It's not going to be all player characters, by the way. There's plenty of monsters to come in, but I thought I'd get the player characters out of the way first. So just our generic Paladin. Again, if you don't have an idea of what your character is going to be, you just make a generic Paladin, or use it as a generic Paladin. This is a thief character that my wife plays. This is Bobby, the Elven Thief. Oh, the Paladin and Bobby were both painted by Mike. So this is Bobby, the Elven Thief, based on a character that was in our campaign from the very beginning, Bob, the Elven Thief. Yes, Bob, the Elven Thief, and I didn't name him. The player did. Bobby started up when he was still active in our game. The player of Bob has long since left our table, but Bobby is still quite active in our campaign. This is our generic druid. If you want to just play a druid, this is the figure we throw on the table first. It's just a fun one. I've always liked this figure. And again, painted by my buddy Mike. A lot of these are Ral Partha, Grenadier. Coming up on a few that I don't know who made them. Maybe you guys know. Again, if you like any of these or you want to tell me some details about it, feel free in the comments below. This is just an archer, a human archer. I actually won a paint contest for this guy back in the very early 80s at that old club I used to belong to. I painted this guy up just for use of the table, and I was kind of pleased with the job I did on him, so I presented him to the judges, and the judges liked it. He won first place. So there you go, just a generic archer, generic ranger shooting a bow. Okay. This is a newer one. This is a Ral Partha. I think this is the later 80s. I don't know. I painted this one. This is my character, Kirk. He's one of my legacy characters, my only real legacy character, because I'm a perennial DM. But I was rather pleased with the paint job I did on old Kirk here. So there you go. This set, I don't remember where we got it, but this is Arthur, King Arthur and his court. This was, I don't know who made this one. The stuff on the bottom is scraped off. I can't read it, which is just a shame. But yeah, this is King Arthur, painted by my wife, Cherry. There you go. I think she did a phenomenal job on this guy. All the little intricate weaving in his cloak and everything else. This guy is just so cool. She did such a nice job with him. The big dragon on the back of his cloak. I remember when we painted this, she spent a ton of time on this guy. And then as part of that set also, Merlin. Gotta like Merlin, wise old Merlin. He's got the owl on his shoulder. This also was painted by my wife. Again, just the runes on his cloak, everything. This is just outstanding. Whenever I need royalty or a royal wizard, these guys come out and they get on the table at that time. But there you go, there's Merlin. And one more painted by my wife, Arthur's Tomb. She didn't finish it. Here, I'll stand up the lid that she did finish. She didn't do the inside, but she did such a great job on the lid, I wanted to show everybody. And it's coming around. Here we are. Arthur's burial tomb. Very, very excellent job by my wife. Okay. Now we have from Ral Partha. Ral Partha? Grenadier, and this one says 1984. There's a Grenadier, just a generic wizard. My wife painted this one. She's used it for various wizards characters over the years. She had painted the figure over 40 years ago. So there we have just a generic magic user. I always like this. This sometimes uses my wife's character, Kaylee. And there you go. And then coming into our typical halfling. If we had a halfling in the group, halfling thief perhaps, this guy would usually come out. He's an old, I think he's Grenadier. I couldn't tell you. I think he's from one of those sets. I had a ton of those sets. I still have the boxes. They're in storage. Not easily accessible, but the figures are all out. And here you go. So just a nice little halfling. And now we have one that was one of my favorites. My buddy did this. This is Dr. Fate. Years and years ago, in the early 80s, being a comic fan, I decided I wanted to create a character based on Dr. Fate from DC Comics. My buddy, who is also a comic fan and of artistic leanings, made me this character. He customized that. He put the Ankh in Fate's hand, everything. It's amazing. He also painted it. So there you go. That's Dr. Fate. That is one of my player characters. I rarely play him anymore, but he's a player character. And this is a dwarf king sitting on his throne. My buddy Mike painted this one. And again, just a magnificent sculpt. I can't believe the detail they got out of lead. But some of these sculpts are just incredible. So there you go, the dwarf king. He came in two parts, the king and then the base. This is a horseman. There you go. There he is, just riding his horse. My buddy Mike painted this one. I have a bunch of these horses. I've about a dozen. I liked having horses to switch out for player characters when they were mounted or not mounted. So there you go. This is a mounted Cavalier or Paladin going into battle. I always really like this one. This one, my wife painted up for her druid who would like to turn into an eagle. This is an old eagle figure. Grenadier, I want to say. I could be wrong on that. I think she did a beautiful job on this guy. Just absolutely gorgeous detail. Made him really just pretty. And this was based on the shape change, the druid shape change ability, what's now called in 5th edition wild shape. She could turn into an eagle, and she would do that frequently with that character. This is a saber-toothed tiger. This was painted by my wife. She went through a time where she had a player character who had a saber-toothed tiger companion, and his name was, wait for it, Tigger, and that is Tigger. She painted him again in the 80s, just absolutely beautiful job. I also love this sculpt. I think this was Grenadier, but I couldn't say. It came in like a loose bag. It was strange. It might have been an off flavor vendor. I don't know. Next, we come to one of my all-time favorite goblins. Love goblins, especially in the early days. These goblins were on my table. I have 5 or 6 of these guys left. A lot of them have broken swords and stuff. This guy was painted by my buddy Mike. Just fun character, or fun figure to have out there. Very tippy though. This guy, in fact, wouldn't stand on his own until I glued him to a base. Next up, one of my another. This is just kind of a generic orc. This was painted by, I think I painted this guy. He was painted a long time ago. I'm pretty sure I painted him. But just generic orc archer. I use guys like this in battle system. It's one of the reasons why a lot of these guys are mounted on the square bases, the 1 inch by 1 inch square base, because in battle system he would equal 10 guys. And now, I think this is a Grenadier orc. Love these orcs. This is one of the first sets I got. I have 5 or 6 of these guys still in my collection. Absolutely love putting these guys on the table. This was painted by my buddy Mike. Just a beautiful figure. I'm blown away by these figures. I think some of these sculpts are just so pretty. So there you go. Now we go to a gnoll. This was a set I got in the later 80s. I think I painted this guy, but he's just like a gnoll captain. I always liked this guy. I could do really good detail work when I really tried. Unfortunately, I don't have the patience or the temperament for it. But there you go, just a gnoll captain. Okay. And then a lizard man, what's now known as a lizard person. The old lizard man. Again, I think this is a Grenadier. Just some beautiful work. This was painted by my buddy Mike. Love the axe. These were just so beautiful. I have used them in battle system, which is why he's on a 1 inch base. Okay. Next up, Bugbear. Got this guy a million years ago. I think this is Grenadier, I want to say. Painted by my buddy Mike. Just an outstanding sculpt. I've always loved these bugbears. I got this guy, I think, in 83 or 84. He was part of a set of 3. The gnoll captain was also part of a set of 3. They came in the old blister packs. This guy would have cost me about $8 for the 3. And then a Draconian. Yes, a Draconian from Dragonlance. Bought a set of 3 of these guys in a blister pack. This would have been about 86 or 87. But I always liked this sculpt, painted by my buddy Mike. Just absolutely beautiful. And yes, Draconians do exist in my Greyhawk campaign. Okay. Next up, we're looking at a vampire. Ral Partha, I want to say, on this guy. Painted by my buddy Mike. Just a neat vampire. Not your classic look vampire. He's not wearing the dinner jacket or anything. But he is in some fine clothing, and he is charging to the attack. Always liked this guy. So there you go. Vampire. Now, this guy I painted back in the 80s. It's a Chiron. an early sculpt of a Chiron. I liked the exotic monsters. I've used Chirons at my table many times. They're usually lawful good, but I've even had a couple that were cursed or had alignment changed and they ended up opposing the party. That can be quite a challenge for any kind of party. But there you go, just a Chiron. Next up, painted by me, because it's really boring, a clay golem. Pull back a little bit on this guy. There's your clay golem. I like this guy a lot. He has seen use at my table many, many times over the years. And, of course, if I have a clay golem, I must have an iron golem. Also painted by me. I always love this. Is probably my favorite sculpt of any iron golem I've ever seen. I've got several, a couple in metal, a couple in plastic, but this is my favorite one. I just always like this guy. Well, there you go. That's a clay or an iron golem for you. Next up, Minotaur. I used Minotaurs, still use Minotaurs. In fact, this guy's going to be on my table tonight. One of the reasons he made the cut here. I think I painted this guy. I don't remember. It was me or it was Mike. I don't remember which. Let's see the eyes. The eyes usually tell. Mike did incredible eyes. I did crummy ones. Hard to tell on that one. I don't remember which was painted, but there you go, a Minotaur. Next up, an ogre. I think this guy might have been a fire giant back in the day, but I use him as an ogre because he's smaller, but he's still larger than human. To put a human in scale, there's Buckethead. So, an ogre, painted by Mike. Mike's signature was the dungeon grid on the base. He would do that sometimes. Okay. Next up, a hill giant. This, I think, was Grenadier, but that is an actual hill giant from way back in the day. And hill giants have gotten way bigger. One of my first videos on the channel was talking about how giants have grown, but there's Buckethead in the shot for comparison. This is what we had back in the day, and I love this figure. This was painted by my buddy Mike. Okay, that's the hill giant. Now we go to a pit fiend. This guy was painted by me. A pit fiend. Yes, he's a bigger guy too. Grab old Buckethead and put him out there. Where the heck is that Buckethead? I'll use the paladin. There. That's your scale. So that's your pit fiend. Good matchup, a paladin versus a pit fiend. So just, again, I'm blown away by the sculpts. And actually, I'm relatively impressed by the paint jobs I did. I was never particularly good at it, but some of these look okay after all these years. Next up is a guy I bought a Balrog. Yep, he is actually a Balrog. That is what the box says he is, or said. I don't think I have the box anymore. I don't remember who this guy was. I remember this was like $12, which was a princely sum in the 80s. But I had to have a Balrog. And this is painted by Mike. And again, just a beautiful sculpt. I just always liked this guy. Oh, sword's a little bent. I'll fix that. But there you go, a big old Balrog. And now, just going to kinder creatures, a Pegasus, painted by Mike. Just beautiful work. The pinning the wings on is a real challenge. Sometimes you had to like take a tiny, tiny little drill and drill it in there and then pin the wings as you glued them. It's the only way they stayed on. This was done by Mike. Mike is really good with crafting the figures too. So there you go. That's a Pegasus. This guy is my generic Lich. This is just a scary looking evil Lich. I always enjoyed Liches. So there you go. And this was painted, I think, by my wife. This was my wife or I painted this guy. I don't remember which. You know, it might have been me. Actually, now that I think about it, based on the Witch King. I always like that mini. Next up, a genie. I always loved genies. Bought a bunch of metal genies back in the day. Still have them. This was painted by, I think, my wife. But just really nice job. Just a really cool genie. I have a ton of genies now with plastic figures and everything, but I still love the old metal ones. Here is another genie. This is painted by my wife. Love this guy. Just such a beautiful figure. And again, I'm blown away by the detail they were able to get in lead figures. So there you have it. So another genie, and then taking him out of the shot, we have another type of genie and a Efreet. Loved Efreets. My wife liked the genies. I like the Efreets, although I use both in my games. You're going to see a number of Efreets coming up. This was painted by Mike. And just a fun figure. Another figure that would topple. He'd fall face forward, so I had to mount him on the base. But beautiful genie, Efreet. Oh, this is another genie. I have him slightly out of order. This is another genie painted by Mike. So, just again, the detail on these guys is just incredible to me. Okay, there we go. And then another Efreet. This is one of my favorite Efreets. Mike painted this guy. Just a really nice sculpt. I've always liked this guy. I like that he's coming out of the flames. You don't see any lower torso or anything. He's just appearing to listen to whatever it is you're going to command him to do. Always liked this figure. Okay. And now, another Efreet I always really liked. Very similar in nature to that one, also painted by Mike. Just another Efreet. Just again, we're getting close, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left. So, in case you were thinking of turning the video off, there's 6 more, including a couple of really big ones. So, there you go. Next up, painted by my wife, an air elemental. She's got a little face in there. Neat little air elemental. Kind of small for scale. There's a bucket head. Smaller than I figured, but I always, if I use it on my table, or when I use it on my table, it's usually an 8 dice or 12 dice air elemental, and now, of course, I've got the huge plastic ones and stuff, but I still love this guy. And then, a storm giant, painted by me. This guy goes back to, there we go. This guy goes back to the early to mid 80s. I loved giants, still do. This guy makes it on my table a lot just because it's one of my favorite sculpts. And I painted it, including the little blue-white lightning bolt. I just really like this guy. He was tippy. He'd fall forward to where his hand is. That's why I had to glue him on a base. And this guy I used as my DMing companion for years. My players hated it. Yes, that's actually Death. And Death used to have, I think there was a sickle on top of there. Actually, no, I don't think so. There's some kind of staff. But I don't remember if he had a sickle or not. This was painted by Mike. I would just take this guy and put him in front of me. Some nights my players would know there was a night I was in a mind to kill player characters. I think that's just a Scepter. I don't think he had a Reaper side. This was a fun little set from the 80s. The Grateful Undead. These guys all came in a blister. I think it was about $6. Painted by Mike. And there you have it. The Grateful Undead. I glued them all in a clear base so they'd be together. These guys will pop up occasionally in layers or something, and they'll be playing music. And they end up almost always being non-combatants, but they give information through the song or something. I've done that several times. But the Grateful Undead. This was by Ral Partha, I want to say. I don't remember. I wish I could. And as I said, I didn't do a lot of research on this before I sat down to do it. I knew it would be a long enough video without doing a lot of research and throwing a lot of stuff in. So if you know something about some of these, let me know. This guy is Silverclaw. Silverclaw is a dragon companion to my son Adam's player character, Adam Wormrider. He and Silverclaw are on very good terms. I painted this guy. I know, real challenge there with all the silver and everything. The mouth was a little tough, and that wing that's sticking up in the air was a separate piece. This was one of the Grenadier Dragons of the month. I bring him up because he sees frequent play at our table, and in fact will be out tonight, as my son Adam is playing Adam Wormrider. So there you go. And now, last but not least, and I don't remember who made this guy. He came in a big box set. I think he was $20 or $25. A gold dragon. This was painted by Mike. This, I think, is just outstanding. This is one of the biggest figures I had until the plastic ones. This guy has seen frequent use on my table as any kind of dragon. And where's old Buckethead? I'll put him in the shot for comparison. So just a beautiful job by Mike. And I'm going to put Buckethead in there for scale. This was a big dragon back in the day because they were metal. Those wings had to be pinned on and super glued and everything, and it's not easy to do. So he was, this guy was considered a huge dragon, and he was premium. Like I say, he was $15. He might even been $20. I don't remember. I did see an ad for him in a Dragon magazine a few years ago. Maybe I'll take a look or just look up online and see if I can find him. But there you have it. That's 50 or so lead figures from back in the day, and painted by various people at the table. So let me know what you think. Do you have a bunch of these old figures lying around? If you do, share them. You'll take a picture of them, put them in the comments, anything you want. But I love these figures. They still see very frequent use at my table. In fact, I held off filming this video until the day I was going to be running the game, which is the day before this airs. So this will air on Friday. We're playing the day before this week. And I'm doing this because I was pulling these figures out for use at the table. And I thought, well, I've got a bunch of figures torn out. Let's take a look at them. So there you have it. That's my part of my painted lead figure collection. Let me know what you thought. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please leave comments below. I have many, many more figures. Some even bigger than this guy. Let me know what you would like to see. Also, please leave your comments below. If you like the video, like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Let's keep growing the channel. Also, take a look at the Patreon and see if you can help me out there. And again, thank you to the viewer who wishes to remain anonymous for the turntable that enabled me to present this video to you today. That's all I've got today. I want to thank you for your time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on page 121.